y'all. My name is Jasmine Jones. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. It's a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews, 90's Rewind. And today we are reviewing The Preacher's Wife, 1996. And we are sipping on a little concoction I made with some oat milk Kahlua, some strawberry Baileys, and some eggnog alcohol. How y'all doing? So, this movie came out when I was 9 years old, and I seen it. I probably saw it in the theaters, y'all. And it pissed me the fuck off. Because you know how I always say, like, beauty is something that I get fixated on, right? Like, especially beautiful people. And Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston are the most beautiful people I ever seen in my life together in this movie. And my 9-year-old self could not comprehend what this movie was about because they didn't get together. And I was just so confused. I was just like, why are they so pretty? And then she wants to stay with this nigga over here, Courtney Vance. I'm confused. And I was rewatching this movie. That anger still came up inside of me because I felt like they should have been together in this movie. And Courtney Vance was just in the fucking way. Like, you know, he needs to move out you need to go somewhere. And I know it's based off of this movie, The Bishop's Wife, from like 1950s, 40s, some shit. I might actually watch that after this just to see if the similarities. Like, was they flirting like that in the original, or was this some shit some black people made up because they're so pretty? They're so pretty. They're just so pretty. Oh my God, they're so pretty. And I'm just so upset that they could, like, I was just like, why can't they do a rom-com after this? Like, they could, I don't care. You talk about, oh, you know, the schedules were so full and busy, and they could have given us the rom-com. Could you imagine Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston in the 90s, the way they looked all young and fabulous, giving us a real life rom-com? Like, I feel like the movie had no climax. I feel like it needed to have more, and it didn't, and that's why it's pissing me off. And they could have just got back together and re-coordinated and gave us an actual rom-com, and they didn't. And I feel robbed. But anyway, so let's start the review because it's pissing me off. So this movie is about Whitney Houston and her husband Henry, Courtney Vance. And Courtney Vance is like running this church right in the hood, right? But it's like falling apart, right? And he got like some kind of issues. Like, he needs to help everybody, and he's neglecting his family because he feels like he needs to help everybody in the church. And then he's blaming himself for the church failing and for shit falling apart in the church and the water heater breaking and the boiler breaking and all this random shit. And I feel like he has like abandonment issues, and he's a people pleaser, and he's not clocking that. And like, he's low-key hating on his wife when she's trying to help him. Like, niggas will get into this space because I always say society will make niggas attached to providing in such a strong way that they are emotionally inept when they can't provide. Just like society makes women attached to our bodies, and how we get eating disorders and all sorts of random shit emotionally and mental health wise, and we feel like our bodies don't fit the societal norms and shit. Men crash the fuck out if they get in debt for $10,000 and will kill their whole family and then kill themselves. Like, I've seen news stories like this: drive the car over the cliff and some stupid shit because you were in debt for $30,000, honey. $30,000, honey. I couldn't find a job. And then they won't let their wives help them. They just feel like, I have to do it all myself, and all of it's my fault. And then they spiral and crash out. And some of the extreme ones will just do stupid shit, like kill their whole families over it. And then you got the ones like Henry that just is spiraling and crashing out and just feeling like, oh, I don't want you to help me help me when I do my sermon. I don't want you to sing backup when I do my sermon. You need to just sit there and do what you're supposed to do, bitch. And I'm supposed to run this church by my motherfucking self. Like, I ain't got a whole team of people helping me do this shit. Like, nigga, okay. See, it's selfish. It's selfish. Your mental health issues, a symptom of it is selfishness. And not in like, oh, a negative way per se, but more so like you start to feel like everything that's happening is because of you, and you are the only one that can fix it or destroy it. And if something bad goes wrong, even if it wasn't you that did it, it's your fault. And it's like, you're blind, sir. The internalizing is making you blind to the fact that you're neglecting your family. You're trying to help everyone in the neighborhood before you help yourself. And so you can't successfully help anybody else because you're not trying to help yourself or your family first. And so like the church is falling apart. Oh, it's my fault, I ain't doing da. And so he's crashing out over here. Whitney trying to help him. He's like, girl, he tried to chastise her because she like was doing little ad libs and shit when he was preaching, and it was pissing him off. I was like, you mad at Whitney, the voice Whitney? You mad that she is gracing you with ad libs? I know he was a character that he was playing and he was just acting, but they're all motherfucking audacity. I wish a motherfucking Whitney Houston was following me around ad-libbing my motherfucking life. And then at the night when, after church, she just trying to be like supportive of him and give him some idea. This nigga gonna put his hand in her face, on her mouth, touched her mouth, and said, not tonight. Girl, he would have pulled back a nub if it was me. Girl. No, because I don't do that shit with niggas. Like, that's probably why I'm single, because I try not to psychologize people in my personal life. I really do. But I'm a very rational, logical thinker, and so it's hard to not be like, nigga, you seem like you got anxiety. Cause you seem like you people pleasing a lot, and you got anxiety, and like now the youth center's closing, and the little boyfriend is being sent away because the grandmother can't take care of him, so he's been sent away to child services. So now your abandonment issues are being triggered, and you're blaming yourself for this. How are you blaming? How is it your fault that this child is being sent away because the grandmother can't take care? What? You ain't God, nigga. I'm tired. So he pissing me off. And then he's like praying to God, like, I need help, Jesus. Let me, just a little bit of help, Lord. And da-da-da-da-da. And Denzel falls from the heavens. The beautiful, because the angels in the Bible ain't had no wings. They look like regular ass motherfucking people. The nigga that was fighting Joseph in the cornfield or wherever the fuck that verse was and shit looked like a regular ass nigga. The niggas that got Lot's family out of Babylon when niggas was trying to rape them in the booty holes and shit. I need to read the Bible. It's very interesting. When that nigga was trying to rape them in the booty holes and shit, they're just regular looking ass niggas. Like some white people came together and decided that angels have wings and they look like white, blonde, blue-eyed motherfuckers and shit. You're just gonna clearly overlook the part of the Bible that says Jesus was bronze skin, which is this color, and wool hair, which is this texture, and make him the blondest, whitest. Let me shut up. Anyways. The Bible say don't misinterpret it and shit. You misinterpreted the way the whole nigga look. So when he come back and smite you niggas, don't say nothing. But anyways, so Denzel falls from the earth rather clumsily but beautifully. It don't matter. It's a young Denzel, 1996. I looked up all their ages. He's 42. Whitney is a youthful, vibrant 33. And they got, whatchamacallit, Jennifer Lewis playing her fucking mom, and she's literally 6 years older than her, looks like a slightly older sister, or could be the same age. And I was just like, is it because she got a mama voice? Like, what is it? Because she don't look nothing like her mama. I just, the woman was like 39 or 30, some late 30s in this movie, and I was confused. Courtney was like 36. These are youthful, vibrant, motherfucker. They had Lionel Richie in here. He was like 46 and shit in this motherfucker. And I was just like, wow. These niggas was youthful and vibrant and beautiful. And so he drops from the heavens and then runs into Courtney and is like, oh, I'm here to help you and da-da-da-da-da. And this nigga's just like, well, first he asks around. So he goes and has some little slice of pizza, but then, no. He runs in Courtney first. That happens first. So he runs in Courtney and he's like, I'm here to help you. And okay, like, you come up to me and say you an angel from heaven. You come up to me saying you an angel from heaven and you looking like a young Denzel, though. You need some help, sir. What are you okay, honey? What do you need? Like, you need to go to a shelter or something. No, that's a beautiful, youthful man, and he was gorgeous. Just getting fixated. Let me redirect, bitch. Redirect. He didn't believe that nigga and rolled off on him and shit. And so Denzel goes around asking about the pastor. So he goes to the pizza place and talks shit about the pastor, and the pizza man is mad at him because the pastor was doing extra and staying overnight when his wife was sick and coming every day and all this other shit. He just be pouring so much into people, and it's not a bad thing, but you have to spread yourself as evenly as possible so that you're giving yourself and your family. Actually, you need to give yourself and your family a little bit more than you give everybody else, okay? Because that's you and your people, and if you ain't got your shit together, you ain't gonna be together to help the people, and you ain't gonna be able to set boundaries and shit when shit is too much. Like, you doing too much. I can't be here every single day to visit your wife, but I can come like every other day, or like maybe like a couple times a week, just to make sure you're okay or some shit like that, because that's not my wife, that's your wife and stuff. But so he runs into Courtney again, and Courtney lets him in the car, and he explains that he's an angel again, and that he's here from God to help him to figure out his life and his church and what's going on and stuff like that. And so Courtney drops him off at the hotel and goes home. And so the next day, this nigga just pop up at the church, right? And he pretends to be like the new assistant, and he runs into Julia, Whitney Houston, girl. When they got in the same room together, they're the same height, they got the same twinkle in their eyes, they got the same big old wide pretty smiles and beautiful teeth everywhere, trying to open their mouth. I was just like, oh God, it's like looking at a painting in a museum. And so, like, everybody believes that he's the assistant, and then Courtney has to just run with it when he comes in. Just like, I guess, whatever, nigga. So, on the other side, we got Gregory Hines. He over here. He's Mr. Scrooge. He's like a real estate agent. He's trying to buy up all this land so that he can, like, turn it into apartments and shit and buy up all the land in the ghetto. And he want Courtney to come and preach at the church in the apartment complex situation, village, whatever he's trying to build. He's going to build him a mega church or whatever. At first I was like, I thought they were going to build the church on the land where the old church was. So I was like, what's the big deal? He's going to build you a new church. But then I had to listen harder. Because literally, I lose the plot in this movie. Like, I'm just staring at these two beautiful niggas, and I'm just like, oh, magical, just gorgeous. And so, like, I had to watch it and be like, oh, okay, he wants him to move from the hood, live with the white people, and preach to the white people that are rich instead of the poor black folks in the hood. And so this nigga is falling for the okie doke because he's going to put in a child care center and a senior center and all. No, why don't you help him rebuild the church he's at? Like, I don't care. get out the hood and then forget about your own motherfucking people and shit. So Courtney comes back from the meeting. But while he's at the meeting, so Dudley was trying to go to this meeting with him, and he didn't want Dudley to go. So Dudley left. He met up with Julia, with Whitney Houston, and they went for a little shopping. Girl, they went for a little shopping trip, and he, they helping her little son buy a little present for his friend that got sent away from with child services and shit. And so like, they basically is walking around, right? And then there's this negligee shop, or this lingerie shop and shit. And there's this gown in the front, this pajama set, whatever, this lingerie set. This nigga gonna say, you would look so good in this lingerie set, girl. And I was like, And she was like, we're here for, Jeremiah to buy a present for Hakeem or whatever the fuck. And he's like, well, I think Henry would love you in this set, girl. And I was like, we know who would actually. No, because I feel like I was thinking about it. I was like, what would you do if Jesus sent you an angel clone that looked like Denzel Washington and a useful Denzel Washington and shit? I don't know. Like you God, you showing me shit that I didn't even know could exist. Like you want me to stay with this nigga that ain't got magical powers when you sending me a nigga that got magical powers and can fly and shit. And he want to be with me and shit. Like, I feel like this was a trial run. This was an accident. No, I'm fucking this motherfucker. I ain't gonna cheat. I'm gonna just go to my nigga and be like, you know what? I just feel like we need to take a break from this here situation because I feel unseen and unloved and unheard. And I feel like maybe we need some space. What about the chat? What do you mean we need some space? What about our son? No, he already likes Dudley. It'll be a smooth transition. Get him some therapy. He got 2 daddies now. Girl, and she talking about how her and Henry met. These motherfuckers been together since they were children. She ain't never ever. That's how them church folks be sometimes and shit. They be with them niggas since child. They ain't never fucked nobody else. And I'm just like, sometimes it works. That's rare. So let's start there. Sometimes, rarely, it works for some people to never have been with nobody else and just been with one person since they were young. But most of the time, that's kind of how we develop a sense of boundaries around what we want in a partner by experiencing. Because like I said, some of us have to experience some bullshit before we learn boundaries. And some of us grow up in decent households and shit and know immediately what decent people look like and what we want and shit like that. But even though sexually, like, some of us need to experience different experiences sexually to know what we want sexually, or we ain't gonna be able to show up in certain ways sexually. And so, like, if I was that bitch and I hadn't been with nobody else, I'd be rethinking that situation. I'd be like, well, I ain't been with nobody else. And Jesus done sent me an angel. Done sent me the ghost of Christmas dick. And I think I would like to partake and see. And, I just feel like I deserve this. No, Jesus didn't let me know beforehand before I decided to tie myself to this nigga since elementary school that there were these type of Harry Potter magical options out in this motherfucker. We could fucking have a Nephilim, bitch. We sitting up, we can have a giant. We can have a nigga with some powers. We can have a magic baby and shit, nigga. Like, why would I stay with this? I would really be thinking, like, the nigga I was with would really have to be showing up for me to overlook a motherfucking angel that looks like a clone of Denzel Washington in his younger years. I would just be, no, because it's not the same person, it's a clone. Don't do that. Because they're different on the inside. That's why when I watch them Black Mirror episodes where they like take their consciousness and put it into another body, like it's the same you and shit. No, nigga, it's a copy. It's not the original soul. So now it's a new soul inside of somebody else that just happens to have your same memories. And it's not you though. Like that's not you no more. So it would be a different person on the inside. I want you to touch me on the inside part. Oh, if you don't know where that came from, you ain't old enough. I don't care. Anyways. Oh my gosh, this is wild. I don't care. You can't put two beautiful people in front of me and not expect me to talk no shit. I don't care. Anyway, so Henry gets to where, you know, Whitney and Denzel is shopping and shit, and then they eating at this little restaurant. And so Whitney wants to know, like, what happened with the meeting with Gregory Hines and shit, right? And he don't even want to tell her. He want to be like, well, no, let's just wait till we da 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 da. So Denzel, the decent angel that nigga is, decides to take it upon himself to remove the child. And no, we shouldn't have our children around a stranger that we just met yesterday. When he walked into that baby's room and shit, I cringed a little bit. I was just like, why are we going into this baby's room? Like, why are we going upstairs in a house and going into this baby's room? That's weird. But you know, I'm gonna go along with the story that these are decent motherfucking people. So he takes the baby to go finish shopping and buy his little gift for his little friend and shit like that. And he tell her that he decides that he's gonna move to the new super church that's made out of glass and shit. And she flips the fuck out. She's like, what do you mean? That was my daddy's church and you just gonna abandon our neighborhood and our people and blah, 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 blah. And so she's pissed off at this nigga. And he's just like, what do you mean? We can say worship God. And no, you're abandoning your people, honey. It's not, you're not hearing, you're not seeing. You think that because you ruined this, we can start anew here, and that's gonna be the silver bullet that's gonna change it. No, nigga, you need to fix yourself and maintain it on a regular basis. There's no one shot that's gonna make everything better. See, that's what they be looking for. It's like that them niggas that be killing their whole families. Well, obviously we have to all die because I can't be poor and then the rest of them can't be poor. Like they're attached to you like tumors or some shit. Like they're not their own people or some shit. This is an impulse. We're moving on impulse. We're making stupid ass decisions because we're depressed and we don't like ourselves. I swear I know he's a good person. I know this pastor is a good person. He's not trash. He's just, I hate it when a decent nigga don't like themselves. Because when decent niggas don't like themselves, they do shit like this. And it comes out of left field and it makes the people that are around them, especially their partners, feel confused because they're like, who is this motherfucker? You was nice and kind and loving and caring and helping everybody in the neighborhood, and now you want to dump everything and go over here and help the white people. Who is this nigga? Like, who are you? Because you let your fucking intrusive thoughts win, and I just ew. Like, I'd rather you had just been trash from the start. I'd rather you had just been showing that side of yourself from the start, honey. I feel tricked and bamboozled and shit that I didn't know you was gonna get all overwhelmed and triggered and then crash the fuck out and make impulsive decisions and switch up our whole lives and not even give a fuck about how it makes nobody else feel in the family and shit. Fuck you, nigga. No, that's a shock. It's a surprise. I don't like it. So anyways, like, she's like, no, fuck that shit, nigga. And so, you know, Dudley talks to her and shit, and then he talks to Henry. And then he tells her that, oh, like Henry's gonna take, you should get this dress, and Henry's gonna take you out dancing tonight, and da-da-da-da-da. And so she gets this dress, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna go out dancing with my husband, and it's gonna be magical and wonderful and lovely. And so he tells Henry that his wife wants him to take her out dancing and make everything magical and wonderful and lovely and shit. This nigga gonna go, I need to go visit such and such at the hospital, and so I can't take her out dancing. And it's like, whatever, nigga. And so Dudley's just standing there shook, like, what do you mean you can't take her out there? That's your wife. Like, that's Whitney motherfucking Houston, bitch, at 33 years old, youthful prime. What are you talking about? You know, when I was 9 watching this, I literally thought that, like, I had no idea that Denzel Washington had a wife. I had no idea who Bobby Brown was, because this was after he got, like, he was famous in, like, the 80s, but, like, early 90s, I was, like, 3 or 4 or 5. I wasn't paying attention to him or his music. They was playing The Temptations and Mahalia Jackson in my household. So I didn't know who that nigga was. And so later on, when I found out, like, her life was like a facade and she was crashing out all the time and surrounded by fucked up people and shit, and I was just like, wow. No, because I feel like there are, especially women in the world, who are magical women, and they got this aura about them that makes them magical women, like Dorothy Dandridge, like Whitney Houston, like Marilyn Monroe, shit like that. Magical bitches that gave off a magical presence to the point where you never are gonna 100, 200 years from now they're gonna still be talking about Marilyn Monroe. Like, that's because she's a white woman, but black people gonna still be talking about Whitney Houston and still gonna be talking about Dorothy Dandridge and shit like that. And so I feel like these women need to be protected, and the only way to protect them is to make sure that they are strong-minded, strong-willed, and have strong boundaries and love themselves and can fully be themselves out in the world, because niggas see that shit and they see that aura and they just want to suck the life out them motherfuckers, especially because they see them women's magics. And I feel like that's what happened to Whitney Houston, and I feel like she just was surrounded by the wrong people and they were sucking the life out of her and sucking away all her magics until she went away. And I just it's wrong. It's wrong. So, you know, I really thought they were in a relationship in real life. I was 9. I thought they was in a relationship in real life. And I was like, oh my gosh, they must be married and happy. I felt the chemistry was real and I felt they were in a relationship. And then years later, I found out all that other shit and I was like, oh, well, it's nice to have the innocence of a child because everything seems so magical. And so I do not regret those thoughts when I was 9 because I needed those innocent, magical thoughts. But anyway, so she put the dress on. She come downstairs and he has to tell her that Henry left, and Henry told this nigga to take her dancing. Girl, I'm like, Henry, do you not see his face? This is Denzel. Youthful Denzel. Why are we letting this nigga be by himself with your wife? Honey, you just see. I'm tired. Would not have been mad if she had fucked this nigga. I would have fucked that nigga. Girl. But anyways, they go out and she sang I Believe in Miracles. No, wait, that's the end of the. Is it something about love? I forget. Whatever, nigga. And so she sang at the club and Lionel Richie is there. You know, I noticed at first I didn't notice it was Lionel Richie because he had his hair cut and he had like a full beard. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, that is Lionel Richie. And I was just like, you know, he looks better with like a full beard or a 5 o'clock shadow because he got like a big jaw and shit, which makes his whole face look bigger than it needs to be. But he don't be having the full beard or the 5 o'clock shadow. And I just be like, why? Is it uncomfortable? Do you not want to keep it? Like, you know, it would have been nice if he had just kept that beard, but you know, it's okay. He don't need that. You know, he lives a full happy life in the name of Jesus. I hope he does. And so Lionel Richie was there and he was trying to mac up on her and shit, and she all innocent and shit, don't realize these niggas trying to mac up on her, letting these niggas sit all close and shit. No, you have to pay attention because niggas will insidiously mac up on you and in the guise of being friendly, we're friends and da-da-da-da-da and whatever the fuck, and be all up extra close in your space and have their arm around you or like want to give you weird ass hugs or stuff like that. And it's like, you gotta be on your P's and Q's and shit, bitch, because these niggas are not just being nice. I was in that naive phase where I just thought niggas was just being nice, and that's so nice. He's, you we had a good conversation and gave me a hug. It was really, you were just trying to feel my titties on your chest. No, that's why I don't hug niggas like that. Like, I don't, because I know it is. I'll give you a side hug, a dab, a handshake. I'm not giving no random niggas full hugs. I don't care what you're talking about. You trying to feel my titties on your chest. I know what the fuck you're doing, bitch. You're not gonna, and then you gotta stand there and act like they're not doing what you think they're doing, because it's so insidious that if you say something, they will gaslight the shit out you and embarrass you in front of people. What do you mean? I was just hugging. Why is your mind so dirty? Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? See, you're embarrassing me in front of people. I don't have it for that. Bitch, okay, you want to wild out? Let's wild out. I'll sock you in your face. No, because you took me there. You took me to a place, and that's why I have to pick and choose when I call shit out, because there's some trauma in me that if I get pushed over the edge, I'm going to black out. And I don't know what that trauma is going to do. I don't know how to fight, but I know that I don't fight clean. I know that I fight to kill. I fight to throat check you and shit. I fight to stab you in the chest. I don't fight to get away. I'm going to fight to kill. So you don't even have to knock me the fuck out. Are you gonna die, nigga? Are you gonna be heavily injured by something that I hit you with in the forehead? And then I'm gonna go to jail. Then I'm gonna go to jail, because my instinct is to fight like that, because I know that you're gonna win. There's Aries in me. You're gonna win with this gaslighting shit. You're gonna win, and I'm gonna look like I'm crazy after you just had my titties on your chest. I don't think so, sir. You're not gonna, girl, even if I have to go to jail and you have to be dead, you're not gonna win this. I'm gonna win because you're gonna be dead. Or you're just gonna be in a coma. Like, I don't know. So that's why I try to avoid certain situations, and being cornered or being made to feel uncomfortable. And I try my best to just go into like dissociation mode and just try to just get away from the situation, because if I let my full rage flag fly, I'm gonna go to jail, or I'm gonna get heavily injured, one or the other, or both. And I'm not gonna you're not gonna have me in jail like on Jailbirds, talking through the toilet, getting toilet acne on my motherfucking face just to talk to a nigga, bitch. It's dirty in there. I can't do my skincare, my full body skincare, my perfumes, and my hair stuff that I do. Like, all of this is like my STEM type situations that like are my fixations and my rituals and routines. And if I can't do it on a daily, I'll get a rash all over my body at this point if I can't exfoliate every day. I can't be dirty like that, because I'll rash up from the sweat and the dirt on my skin, and it'll just keep accumulating until I'm itchy and rashy, and it's just fucking horrible. So I have to exfoliate twice a day, every day of my life. And you can't do that in jail. In jail, they give you some ratty ass bar soap, and maybe toothpaste and a toothbrush. And that's it. Like, that's all you get. Like, you can't get the Korean skincare. You can't get the full body exfoliant creams. You can't get nothing. I feel like Joan Crawford and shit when I be doing my skincare. Some fucking mommy dear shit. I just have to do those things. And so, like, to have that taken away from me, to have my freedoms taken away from me, especially over a nigga. Over a nigga, really? These niggas was bragging about not wiping between their ass cheeks and shit because they thought it was gay, like a few years ago on Twitter. I'm not about to go to jail over that. Girl, you got me fucked up. So I try to avoid situations. But if you push me, and you push me, and you push me, shit may just happen. And so, That's why I just work on myself every day to maintain my sanity and keep myself in a straight line. And she just didn't get it. She just didn't see that these niggas was all up in her space, leaning all up over her and shit. I was just like, oh, girl, both these niggas trying to fuck you and shit. You just, it's okay. You're just, naive and gullible, and I was like that when I was 33 too. So it's okay. That's okay. That's why I don't be dating 20 somethings and early 30 somethings, because no, I know how I was. And most of these motherfuckers out here is unhealthy, are very immature. I'm definitely not dating no 20 something, but early 30 something, ew. I remember being 33, nigga, like, it was a crash out every fucking day almost. It was some bullshit. And I tried to supplement it by, like, traveling and, like, doing stuff and opening a business and whatever. But no, nigga, like, it was some shit. Like, I was insecure and cared about what people thought too much. And it was some bullshit. I just, so, I get it. But, like, at least I'm talking about her character. Like, I don't know this person. I don't know her in real life. Like, her character is innocent and free in the world and naive, and she don't know that both these niggas is trying to fuck her. So they at the little bar and they having a good time. She sang her magical song with her magical voice, and then they go back to her house, and Courtney B. Vance sitting up in the living room in the dark like somebody daddy waiting for their teenage daughter to come home and shit. And I was like, okay, nigga, girl, you told this nigga to take your wife dancing, bitch. You told this nigga with that face and that body and that height to take your wife dancing, because I do think you are at least an inch and a half shorter than her. He is the same height or maybe a little bit taller. Girl, you did this to yourself, honey, because you spiraling and crashing out and shit. Girl, don't be mad at him. He didn't make no moves on her and shit. He was dancing like he died in the 20s or the 1920s or the 1950s and shit. Like, he wasn't doing nothing and shit. Like, he didn't fuck her, he didn't kiss her, he didn't touch her, but they had that emotional, connection that was, they're so pretty. When they were sitting at the table talking to each other and smiling, his teeth were pretty, her teeth were pretty, her face was pretty, her smile was pretty, his eyes were pretty, his cheekbones were pretty. The texture of their skin was pretty. It's the prettiest thing I ever seen. It's like two flowers talking to each other. I just was like, what's going on? We could at least make this work in a movie. Like, why couldn't y'all just one rom-com, one motherfucking, the white people wasn't gonna give us that. They felt them auras. They knew that this wasn't gonna happen. It was like, that's gonna revolutionize the niggers to love on each other more and shit, and we don't need them making more babies. And no, I really do believe they could have, that shit would have made so much. No, because even the little bit of chemistry they had in here felt real. It felt real. I felt it in my spirit, and I was just like, imagine a rom-com. Just imagine it. It would have been amazing. It would have been the most amazing, magical rom-com. It would have been replayed over and over again in various different black households. It would have been a staple. It would have been a cult classic. It would have been everything. There's a dimension where there is a Denzel Washington, Whitney Houston rom-com. I don't care. And they fucking. That the classy fucking where they like kiss and like you see somebody's naked back and shit, and then it dims to black. Shit like that. I don't think they, like, Whitney Houston would do all of that. And she shouldn't have to, but at least kiss on the mouth. One time I was sitting here, I was just like, maybe if they just kissed on the mouth one time. This bitch kissed him on the cheek at the end, and I was just like, what's going on? And so, like, he yelling at Denzel, like, Whitney went upstairs because she's still mad at this nigga for what he did about the church and what, like, not taking her out to dance because fuck you, nigga. And so now he mad at Denzel, like, he didn't tell this nigga to go out with his wife and shit. And then, earlier they had went skating, too. At some point, they had went skating, and it was so pretty. It was just, she was like, and he was holding her up, and I was just like, look at these flowers fluttering in the wind. So pretty. Cause he didn't show up, and I was low key mad because he was driving to meet them, and the lights kept turning red. So obviously they're insinuating that God had a hand in stopping him from meeting them, right? And I'm just like, so you wanted them, Lord God, you wanted them to have more alone time, so you stopped these fucking lights. But when this nigga at the end turned a wedding picture into his face, you gonna bring the thunder and the rain. Well, it's confusing, sir. You want him to give it a chance or not? Like, be like, why is it so disrespectful? No, it's not. You motherfuckers were beautiful. They're top tier gorgeous, and you just like, they didn't do anything. They didn't connect nothing. And it's so fucking frustrating to me. Like, it's bothering me in my head. Like, it's wrong. Oh God, I'm crashing and burning. This is horrible. Oh, well, I stand on my commitment to the fact that they would have been amazing in a rom-com. It would have been some ethereal shit. It would have been angelic. It would have been better than The Bodyguard, y'all. Like, they put her with that white man and shit. They didn't even get together at the end. But at the end of the rom-com with Denzel, they gonna get together, they gonna stay together, they gonna have some babies. This is gonna be magical. And so she, like, what happened? So Henry's mad at Denzel, right? And he kicks him out the house. He's like, stay away from my family. And Denzel gives his little speech about how if he moves to a different church, it's going to disappoint the neighborhood because the church is the center of the neighborhood, and it's going to disappoint your wife, and things will never be the same. That nigga would have been miserable. That woman would have made him miserable, or he would have left. Or she would have left. No, like, that's her home. That's her daddy's church. That's like everything and shit. And you just ruined her childhood. And you didn't give a fuck. You didn't care about her feelings or emotions around it. Like, that would have been fucked up. And then there's this boy in the beginning that, like, he is framed and he gets arrested for, like, robbing a liquor store or whatever. And he didn't actually do it. He was just, like, ducking when the people came out. And one of the dudes just happened to have the same hat, and he was black. So obviously the Latin people that own the store think all black people look the same and pin that nigga as the one, even though they saw that nigga get in the car and ride away. They were outside by the time the car left. They saw that nigga get in the car and ride away. And then when the police came and that nigga stood up, he was like, that's him. Why the fuck would he still be there if there was a car that they all got in and drove away and you saw? Okay, you just was mad at a black person. You was mad. You wanted somebody to be punished because the real people got away and you don't see us as people. So he is arrested. And then Denzel is talking to Henry, and he's just like, you don't even care about, like, yourself anymore. You don't care about, helping the people no more. You just giving up on them and shit, and going to the other church with the white people and all this. And you don't believe in yourself, and you don't believe in that little boy that you helped, because he helped him 2 years ago when he caught a case and he got a job, and he's got him a little $4.25 an hour. That still wasn't a lot of money back then. Yes, things were cheaper, but that still wasn't a lot of money back then. But he's like a little teenager, young adult, some shit like that. So whatever. Hopefully he goes to college. So he's about to get, arraigned and shit. Like, he's on trial or whatever. And this nigga's like, well, how do you know he even did it? And da-da-da-da-da. Did you look him in the eyes and ask him if he did it? And blah-da-da-da. And Henry's just like, what do you mean look him in the eyes? And blah-da-da. And so then Denzel left. And so Henry had to think about that shit. He went to the court. And then he, like, looked the boy in the eyes and was like, did you do it? And the boy was like, no, I didn't. And what I said was true. And blah. And there's evidence to say he wasn't even in the vicinity when the robbery happened. And so he barges in on the judge that's running the boy's trial, but she's not running the boy's trial right now. She's running some white boy's trial, so he's next, right? He barges in on a white boy's trial and gives this speech, random speech in the courtroom and shit. I was just like, this shit don't. Now, I watch a lot of SVUs and shit, girl, and every time one of them niggas get up and try to disrupt the courtroom, I watch a lot of true crime. I've seen the true crime where they be interviewing the killers and shit, and then they show the court scenes. Any little interruption in court, they're gonna have a bailiff wrestle your ass down to the ground and put you in jail for 90 days, baby. Like, that's not real. You can't do that and stuff. And I was just like, oh, it worked. He got the little boy out. But, like, that wouldn't have happened in real life. And so, and I was already pissed off at him before about, like, disrespecting Whitney Houston like that. So it's just added to it a little bit because it was like half good, but like it was like 90%, it was like 98% good. No, because he got the little black boy off. Like, I can't be like, oh no. It was like, okay, it was like 99.999 good. And that little bit of bad. And I was just like, whatever, nigga. Rolling my eyes, whatever. Rolling my eyes emoji and shit, nigga. And so, like, he's like, he gets him off. And then he decides to go. So he's writing his little thing for the church. No. He decides to go to Gregory Hines' house. He decides that he's not gonna, move to the super church or whatever, even though the nigga already put the boiler in and whatever. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna do it because I care about my people and my wife and myself and all that bullshit. And he tells Gregory Hines this, and Gregory Hines like, well, I bought the mortgage, nigga. Like, I can do whatever the fuck I want with that land. Because, he's a sellout. He's a Scrooge. He's a sellout, white, white adjacent in this character. And so, white is right and shit. And so, like, Henry's defeated. He goes back home and writes his sermon for Christmas Day and shit for the church on Christmas morning, I guess. And he writes his sermon and shit about how they gonna close the church and he moving to a new church and da-da-da-da-da. And then the ghost of Christmas Dick pops up at Gregory Hines' house. Dudley goes to this nigga's house. I don't care. I don't. No, that's his moniker for me. I don't. In this movie, the character, not the real person. He goes to Dudley's house and he does his little magic and shit to show that he's an angel and scares the shit out this nigga, and it's like, you need to stop the situation with your church and blah da 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 da. You ain't gonna remember me, but you gonna have a feeling that you need to go to that sermon tomorrow. So Gregory Hines goes to the sermon, and then Henry is reading he's trying to read his little situation, right? And he changes the sermon up, and then he's like, no, we got to stand together as black people and as the church, and we got to fight, and da 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 da. And then that's when the angel got his wing. And so Dudley is like overjoyed because he accomplished his mission, but at the same time, it's like he fell in love. And during the sermon, like, or during the little Christmas play and shit that the kids put on, he back in the room talking to Whitney. She talking to him. He grabbed her hand, and so when he touches people, some kind of like magicalness goes into their bodies, and they get a thrill or whatever. And I was just like, so like, I wonder what would happen if, like, the angel put his penis in. Oh, you would probably have the best, or you would see Jesus. And I was just like, once again, like, if God so sees it fit to send me an angel, so I can see Jesus while I'm alive. See Jesus about 9-10 times in a row. I feel I would accept that gift from the Lord. I say, I show it, so it said, so it's done. In the name of Jesus. I just feel like I would accept that gift from God, and I would, live out my days fulfilled and happy, however many days they may be. Yes, Lord. And so, name of Jesus, God, about 50, 11 times. I done seen the Lord about 50, 11 times. Might almost be dead. Seen the one on high. So he touches her hand. He's like, you can do a palm reading. And she's like, sure, palm reading. And I was just like, ain't y'all supposed to be like Christians? But see, they're being accepting of other spiritual things. And I think that's nice. And so, he touches her hand and she gets a little, and I was just like, you lucky. I want the little, and so he touches her hands, and then they looking at each other's eyes, and I was like, I want to live in that place between their gaze. Just right there in the middle. That's what I want to build my house on an island and just live there and never leave. Right between their gaze, just like that, in a little tiny house on a little tiny island. And just bask in the aura of that gaze. And just, be free. And so, she kissed this nigga on the cheek. Slob this motherfucker down, I would've. I'm a nasty bitch. I don't care what you're talking about. A monogamously nasty bitch, but a nasty bitch. Like, I be like, this is why I can't date, because this is why I can't have a crush. I can't date because the neurodivergent, the Aries in me is just like, as soon as I see a nigga, I want that nigga. Like on that one jail show where that one nigga was like, I seen them, I want them, I seen them, I like them, I want them. That's the first phrase that runs through my head when I see a nigga that I like. I seen you, I liked you, I want you. And then I can't comprehend why you wouldn't want me back. Like, I'm amazingly gorgeous. I'm a magical bitch. Like, why wouldn't you? And when I was in my 20s, I would try to force it. Now, I've just decided not to like anybody. Just don't have a crush on nobody. Wait till God just sends them right there smacking your face and he's just trying extra hard to get your attention and shit. Then when I see that you trying extra hard to get my attention and you also happen to be like my type and you're saying interesting things and stuff, then will I tiptoe, a little bit out of the doorway. And then let's see if you can pull me out some more. So, if I was in her position, I would have fucked that nigga from the moon to the stars to the sky above. This is horrible. I'm like, you're a therapist. Oh my God. Okay, therapist, fuck. What the fuck? We have full lives with things that we do as human beings. We just happen to have studied some shit so that the natural way that most human beings analyze each other when they interact with each other, that all human beings do, like we all analyze each other. Either we're analyzing based off of like shit we've been through, or we analyzing based off of what the person is actually doing in reality. Are we doing both and we mixing them up and then we crashing and burning? But we all analyze. Like therapists just learn how to put like some logical words and shit to why the person is doing that shit. some studies and some science and shit to it. So it's not as confusing, especially when like the therapist heals and shit and goes to therapy. And now it's like, no, like, nigga, you got the autism and shit, and that's cool and stuff, but like, you ain't about to put that fixated incel shit on me, bitch. I'll cuss you the fuck. Oh no, women are supposed to, bitch, get out of my face. And so, we're people. So I don't know what to tell you. Come on here with that bullshit. That's an extra view and maybe a little bit of money in my pocket. And I'll have made, if I get more views on this video, but for the first, I'll have made $200 on YouTube in a whole year. That was gas money though. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. Every little dollar, every little cent counts to something. So anyway, she kissed this nigga on the cheek. You see, I'm just ill. And then she go and be with her family and live her life. And he go back outside and make himself into like he tried to change the face on the picture, but God was like, no, nigga, this enough. And then he made himself into the angel that's on the tree and shit. And then he waiting outside the church for them, and they see him, and everybody done forgot him except for the little baby that's been narrating and shit. He was so cute throughout this. I don't know if he got a lisp or what, but it was just like, it was the cutest thing in the fucking world. It's like this little baby. He just talks so cute, like a little baby. Like, and then his little friend, they're like little short, stocky 5-year-olds that are just like, they look like little babies. They're just so cute. And so like he narrating, talking about, I'm the only one that remembers, and like it's been a year, and I keep telling my dad, but my dad said he don't remember, my mom don't remember, but I remember that nigga. I wonder how long children remember. Like, you gonna remember till you like forever, or like you only gonna remember till like, because if he remembers till adulthood, he'll look back on that shit and be like, was that nigga an angel? He fell straight from the sky. Like, he must have been. Or if he forgets, like, as he gets older, well, that's, I guess, whatever. Like, I just want to remember all the magical things, because when you look back on it, it gives you peace when you're in fucked up moments. Like, I remember when I flew that one time, and nobody believed me, and I ain't never flew. I remember when I was a kid, though, I used to jump off the bed and, like, see if I could fly. And I said, if I, I think I did it. I think I did it because I kept hearing about all them people on the news, them kids on the news, jumping off the roof. And they was like dying and shit. And I was just like, I wonder if you can fly. And so I said to myself, if I can jump off the bed and fly, then I'll try something taller. And then eventually make my way to the roof. But I feel like if I could jump off the bed and fly, I could just fly up anyway. So I wouldn't need to jump off the roof. See, I logicalized it so I wouldn't die. Oh my gosh. I need to get off, so. Anyways, that was my review of A Preacher's Wife. I'm now going to potentially watch The Bishop's Wife if it's not too boring. I like classic movies, but like I have to be sober to watch classic. No, because classic movies, they like to monologue a lot and pour themselves into these long ass fucking monologues. And it still is a good movie, but if I'm not paying attention, I'm gonna lose track of what the fuck they're saying, what the plot is, because most of the plot is in the fucking monologue and shit. And so, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it an attempt, and if I can't finish it today, I'll watch it tomorrow. But no, like that rom-com would have been fucking epic, nigga. Like that would have been the most magical rom-com. I wish I was in a dimension with the Whitney Houston, Denzel Washington rom-com. Because this was not a complete movie. I don't care. Something feels unfinished every time I watch this movie. That's why I don't watch this movie. This is not my favorite Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is The Muppet Christmas Carol with the song in it. And if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The song. I watch it every year, every Christmas. I watched it last week on Christmas. Here comes Mr. Humbug. Here comes Mr. Smooth. No, nigga, that movie is a good ass fucking movie. And then when she sings that song in the middle, and she telling this nigga off, like, no, you hurt me, nigga. Like, you fucking. That was like the first time I had seen an example of a woman like telling a nigga off, like telling a nigga how he made her feel and setting boundaries and shit. Like she told this nigga, he's like, no, the love is gone. You didn't give a fuck about me. You was ignoring me. All you care about is money. And I was like, yes, bitch. Like, this nigga don't care about you, girl. You go. And I didn't feel a lick of sad for this motherfucker, you, bitch. You could have been happy, and I think that was the first inkling of me wanting to be a therapist. You could have been happy, and you chose chaos. Like, you're actively like, you could have chose. And I think that's always been in the back of my mind. That's why I made it through. I think that's what helped me make it through a lot of the times when I was making stupid ass choices. Like, at some point I had to realize I was the one making the choice and stop. So every mistake in my life, at some point I was always had to realize, and I think that was a part of me why I learned how to do, why that was a part of me that was there in my head. I had to take accountability and shit, like. And then at some point, I got tired of having to take accountability for shit, so I decided not to do shit like that. Because you get tired of taking responsibility for some bullshit. Like, I don't feel like being blamed for shit. Blaming myself and all this shit because I keep choosing this path and whatever the fuck. I don't feel like doing all this shit. So, you know, sometimes you gotta remember what brought you forward, what brought you across and shit. And I think that song on that movie brought me to a brighter place. And I need to get off of here. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. And Abbott Elementary is like back, I think. No, not next week. So I'll do something else. But it'll be back the week after next. They're gonna do It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I really think that movie is a commentary on white male narcissism. It really is. It's like watching American Psycho, but instead of just like killing motherfuckers and getting away with it because they're white and they're privileged, they're just doing these most randomest things. It's a commentary on white culture. Power and control and never getting consequences and shit. And so I just wonder how they gonna like, and they did blackface a few times, so I'm just wondering how they're gonna like with black people and black people centered cultural things. And they did blackface a few times, and their show is basically a commentary on white male narcissistic culture. I just we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this show. And, later days.